So we are a couple of minutes early, working on just the last little bit of setup here. Got my beverages lined out. Not drinking coffee tonight. Sound is hopefully clearer than what folks have been seeing it before. And we will be able to show the streams chat here. So hopefully if we get some people who are posting into the chat, we'll be able to see that rather than me bouncing back and forth between the tabs for Twitter/X and for YouTube. This is the first stream I'm trying where we will have the stream live on two different channels, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. And I am posting a link to Coffee page for Bishop Steiner. Now, Bishop, aka what is Ben's last name? Myers. He's a very significant artist, primarily known for, I think, probably most people known for his work on BattleTech stuff. So if you're a BattleTech fan, definitely check that out. He was in the hospital. He's now out. I'm not sure when he got out, but he's out of the hospital. I messaged him today. Mint tea, no sugar. I'm trying to be good about the whole old man diabetic thing. But he's out of the hospital, still working to recover. So if you can contribute, by all means, that would be greatly appreciated. If not, at least please do help spread it around far and wide so that we can help him get his medical bills paid. So I'm a big fan of trying to spread the word for platforms like this when it's for a good cause, whether it be for someone's Kickstarter campaign or GoFundMe or coffees or whatever for medical bills or for emergencies or things like that. I like, and I might be pronouncing that wrong, is it Ko-Fi or Coffee or whatever it is, Kofi, however that's pronounced. I like it because you can do like little small donations, like $3 or whatever. And that can add up after a while. So here's to Bishop. If you're watching, man, I hope that you're feeling better. And hopefully folks who are watching this will help spread the word. Now, what I don't know is if this setup is going to show me how many people we have watching. Now, the last few weeks, it's taken a few minutes before anyone's kind of joined the stream. And so I think that's probably very likely today too. But not a big deal. We'll go ahead and we'll stream on as if the entire world was watching, I think. We've got a few things we're going to talk about today. One to kick off right off the beginning, talking about Bishop and his thing. So we've got that. I think I've got a whole list of stuff here to talk. We're going to try and squeeze this in an hour and try and stay true to the format we've kind of established and plan on sticking with for now. So we're going to talk about some single dad stuff. And this is from me and my experience because I'm an older dude. I have a lot of kids, but my youngest daughter is preteen, and then I have a son who's about to be 16. But with the holiday season coming up, like a lot of people, I'm looking at Amazon and trying to figure things out. Right now, I'm looking at stuff for the kids for school and for birthdays. And then, of course, for my youngest, she reads after school every day, at least half an hour a day. And that'll be comics or manga or novels, light novels, whatever, right? Depending on what she's at the moment. So I thought it'd be fun to look at some of the things that I have found. So for those of you who have kids or just might be interested in the stuff itself, because a lot of this is kid friendly, but still, genuinely good times. There is actually a Minecraft manga. I know of 2 volumes that are available. She's already got the first. She really liked that. I've got the second one coming in for her. And then for fans of Miraculous Ladybug, there's a manga edition out of Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And I think those will go well for her. As far as books for my younger one, he's a big light novel reader, and he's read out all of the light novels for the Slime Isekai already, and a few others. So, looking to find something that he didn't have yet was kind of more of the challenge. And so, given his age, I picked out a couple that were, I think, pretty well age appropriate. And then I went ahead and added in a book that I enjoyed that I think he's old enough at this point, certainly, to enjoy, and that's Stormfront by Jim Butcher. Now, there's going to be some things in that book that he might not have a ready frame of reference for, because that book did come out before he was born. You'll see references to like payphones and things like that. I'm pretty sure that's where we see that references in Stormfront. But it's a really, really good book. As far as my experience with reading like the Dresden Files and its accompanying material, I haven't read the Fury series by Butcher yet, but the thing about Dresden is that for the first several books, you could really see the steady improvement of Jim Butcher's skill as a writer. And I think really about the 6th or 7th book, he really hit his stride. And then when he got to the book Changes, he really, really, really leveled up. And Changes was just a magnificent, magnificent novel. So if you haven't read the Dresden series, highly recommended. It's a lot of fun. And Changes will. I'm I'm normally not easy to bring to tears, but Changes actually made me tear up a bit, which I think is a mark of a pretty skilled pretty skilled author. So hats off to Jim Butcher. Love his work. Looking forward to the next book coming out. So I am also checking to see if I can see the view count and everything on this restream, and I don't seem to be able to, because I can see that we have some people watching on the channels that we have this. We have it live currently on Twitter/X and on YouTube. So we should, let me check YouTube real quick and see what the count is there, because why not? We've got, let me see. We're going to type that there and see if this shows up in our chat. And it does not. There it goes. All right. So apparently we are showing up in the chat in YouTube. That's good. And we do have an indicator for where we're at. So that's only counting. It looks like it's only counting me. So let me get out of there so that we can get an honest accounting of this. All right. There we go. We should be right as rain. Cool. So getting back to the single dad stuff. What we got here? We got the Jim Butcher novel, Stormfront, which is the first in the Dresden Files series. And then he had requested a particular fancy art pencil thing that he wanted. I've got that coming in for him. So that's all good. And then, the usual stuff for the kids during this time of the school year as the season starts to change and they hit new and impressive growth spurts. And you get like fall clothes and, winter coats and stuff. So stocking up on stuff like that. I am holding off, though, like I think a lot of people are, for another 2 days to get the Prime discounts when the Prime days hits. 2 days, 3 days, something like that. So trying to be fiscally responsible. The adulting never ends, right? All right, let's see what we got here. Cool. So whenever we've got more people coming in here, if you would just please feel free to go ahead and comment to the chat. Love to hear and make sure that the sound's coming through okay, because I did make some changes. I broke out the mic that I got when we were doing more YouTube videos, and I think it's working pretty well. We did a test earlier, so here's hoping. The other thing that, talking about like single dad stuff, and man, this one's going to go deep and personal. So strap in, folks. The I have been married twice before. All right, I'm very much so the single dad now, but my youngest, the mother of my youngest, is moving over here onto this street, and having been divorced now for 7 years, almost 8, it's going to be very strange. Cool, Bishop. Thanks, man. It's gonna be very strange to have her that close. By the way, everyone, Bishop Steiner, as we were talking about, make sure that you hit the link to the is it, Bishop. Do you know if it's pronounced coffee or Ko-fi or what the pronunciation is on that? But yeah, check it out if you can help out. Help out. It's a nice user friendly site, and please do share the link around. Let's help this talented man out in a moment where he's having some difficulties. Okay. But yeah, getting back to the really deeply personal stuff. There's a point too when you're a parent, of course, and it happens basically immediately when you become a parent, at least in my experience, when everything that kind of bothers you or annoys you or hits you kind of funny kind of loses its priority. Way. Yeah, we'll call it coffee then. I think, Bishop. I think that's probably a good way, because I've heard people do both, and I'm not real sure which way the people who run the site call it. But yeah, as a parent, we stick our own interests and our own concerns, and we stuff them in the back, and we put the priority on what's best for the kids and the spouses, and trying to make sure that we're taking care of our families. Take this off for a few minutes. I wear those glasses way too much, and they put such a glare on the screen. But with the ex-wife moving onto the block, it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. All apartments up through this section of here, like where I live here, and she's gonna be really, really close. Don't want to dox her location or anything, but I mean, I can step out my front porch and very easily see where she's at. I could throw a baseball and hit her door. It's going to be a good thing, I think, for our daughter. Certainly, I think it's going to make things a lot easier on us as parents with our custody sharing schedule. And I think it'll be good just to be able to, especially with her moving here in a couple of weeks for the holiday season. That said, I'd be lying if I'm a little conflicted on how I feel about it. But that goes back to that first thing, the single dad 101. When you're dad and you're taking care of your kids and everything else, man, takes a back seat. So if I seem a little stressed sometimes, with the day job and running Sinopa and being a single parent and taking care of the kids and everything else on top of it, I know, easy, right? But this one little thing, for some reason, is just I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted, not sure how I feel about it, but I am certain that it's going to be a good experience for my daughter. I'm sure that she's going to really appreciate it. So that's where we're at on that. And that was one of those little personal insights we were going to share. I've got another one. I posted about it on Twitter earlier, and we're going to save that for last. But one of the other things too that we're going to talk about today is the strike at Kickstarter. Now, a lot of you guys know that we are getting ready to do the Kickstarter campaign for Art by Humans, which is our first magazine. Our current schedule is we'll have this first issue, and we'll do at least one issue annually. If we get our sales volume up high enough, we may move up to 2 a year or even quarterly if sales are sufficient to fund it. But with that, we're going to take and share a little behind the scenes. I'm so glad I prepped this in advance about what I've gone ahead and cut this back a little bit, folks, so that we can see a little bit of the art here. This, of course, by Anthony Ojeda, who is he's done a lot of RPG work for me over the years. This is one of the pieces that he did for us in the adventure module, Death Comes to Glenfollow, which is our D&D 5e adventure, the third in the Tarot Adventure series. Really wish I could get that bigger. This is going to be one of those streams where I'm trying to figure stuff out as we go as well, so bear with me. Don't know if you guys can see that real well or not. I don't know if I can make that bigger, but let's do it here. Stop sharing that one for a moment. So an example from the art from Tony Ojeda. Let's go grab an example from Damian Torres, who's likewise done a lot of work for me over the years, primarily in comic books, which is always good to see. And we've got this piece, which is from the coming title. It's an interior page, I should say, from the coming title, Tipping Your Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms, issue 2. We'll really get to see just how much detail he's put in. Like I said, I'm still formatting some of this, so bear with it. But the fun part about this magazine is we're going to talk a lot in these from the interview perspective about different tips and tricks from these artists about how they are monetizing their craft, how they are finding clients, how they are maintaining clients, how they are successfully selling their art, and tips that they've come up with for things like making money at convention appearances, and how they are handling particular clients and job opportunities and things that they wish that they knew when they started that they've learned since then. So we've managed to get some cool tips and tricks from these folks. I think Pete, one of the ones is in this is Pete Vasquez, and I know he's been working as an artist, I believe 20 or 30 years, but he's, as he always says, he's always been an artist. He's just been, working for money for it for like 20 or 30 years, something like that. I know that's a big age range. So Pete, if you see that, I'm sorry that I botched that, man, but we'll get there, buddy. I'll get it right eventually. All right. So I went over and checked to see. I can see that we are showing one viewer on YouTube. Cool. And we're showing 4 viewers on Twitter, but that's not coming through on my display here. So that's probably something I'll have to look at in the settings, but no big deal. With the, you know what? I should probably share a little bit more about this because there's some really cool stuff in here. One of the artists that we are showcasing in this first issue also is Sandra Cole. Now, Sandra was recommended to me from a gentleman I used to work with a long time ago. Back, let's just say a long time ago. He and I had interesting work experiences together. But he had contacted me when he found out that I had founded my company and was saying, hey, look, there's this lady who goes to church with us. She's a really remarkable artist. Can you take a look at some of her stuff, see if you could use her work on anything? Now, if you've ever worked creating content, if you've ever, put out comics or role-playing game books or board games, anything that needs art, you've probably had friends who said, "Oh, my niece is such a great artist and all this," and you kind of get kind of thick-skinned a little bit. We're like, "Yeah, I'll take a look and see if it fits." But with Sandra, the first piece that that she showed me, I was like, "Yeah, I need to have this woman working for us." And the fun part about that is that we were the first ever commercial work that she ever did, and that piece I just showed too much. Is this right here? This is our Titania, the Fairy Queen, and we're gonna dial that up a little bit. Or do I have it locked? There we go. InDesign, folks, so much fun with InDesign. But yeah, this is the first ever commercial art project she ever did. This was in one of our Sinopa omnibus books for the 5th edition D&D settings. Absolutely fantastic. This is also our most sold art print that we put out. And we've also donated this to local schools. When we do the Lexington Toy and Comic Festival, we have a smaller version of this in like a 6x9 that we give away to kids so that they have something pretty to take home. Because when you're looking at small children at comic conventions, very often it's hard to find something that is appropriate for them and something that they can enjoy. And then of course there's also the price factor. So we figure having something that's a freebie that we can give away to the kids maybe helps to, I don't know, maintain that mystique, that love of the convention feeling when you're little and just getting to know what's out there in the world. And I think that by cultivating that, it's good for business, but on the human side of it, by sharing that, maybe we can help to inspire a love for art and help fuel the flames of curiosity and creativity in the coming generations. And I think that anytime that we seek to inspire, that we seek to lift up our children, our young ones, our teens, our fellow man in general, I think that's an effort that we should certainly undertake. Whew, that was a lot for that. I'm not going to go through and share, I don't think, too much more on art by humans, but I will go ahead and reiterate there is no AI generated images in any of the Sinopa Publishing books that we put out. That's just not something we do. We pay real human artists, and we pay them exactly as their contract specifies. In real money, because paying people in exposure is terrible. People die from exposure. Don't do that. So it's always fun looking back and then remembering, hey, I can remember the first time I got an artwork in from Brian Lee or from Phoenix O'Ferry, God rest her soul, or from Nick Capone, or from Christian, by God, Martinez, such an amazing dude. For those of you who, did I have that here? Yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar with Christian Martinez, he's also a VTuber who goes by the name of Red Claw Draws. But he is the artist on our 5th edition D&D source book, Whispers of Persephone, which is our little bloody book on necromancy. Bloodstained pages and all. Not real blood, by the way, but, done artistically. It does, however, make it a little hard to read. So I think when we go back to print on this to get more printed up, that I will have to go ahead and maybe play with the formatting a little bit just to make it a little easier to read. But he did a remarkable job of bringing us creepy NPCs and gruesome monsters. Let me get into here where we can find badass magic items, cursed relics, and such. Just a lot of good fun. That's one of the things I really love about making tabletop role playing game content. By the way, is this is a proof copy one, so this one doesn't have all the art in it. That's unfortunate. Yeah, this is the playtest version. Well, let's see if we've got. Nope, that's playtest version as well. I'll have to go dig up one of the finished products, I suppose. I didn't realize I only had the playtest versions. Okay, so Bishop says you met the curse of the graphic artist meets visibility, and I blame WOTC for making that kind of standard. Oh yeah. I ran headlong into that problem with those bloody pages. The blood's a little dark, but it needs to be. And then instead of using like color contrast on the text, I didn't change that, and so some of the words run into the blood smear. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I can go in and take that file and then deactivate that effect because all those pages, all those bloodstain effects are on one base layer. So when we go to another press run, I can go ahead and cut that out, which I think is probably a good idea. I admit I'll miss the bloodstain pages for that because I think it's a nice touch. But just from a user's perspective, it's so much easier if we get rid of it. But yeah, that one's a lot of fun. We have an entirely new tradition of necromancy in there. We've got a whole list of NPCs, the Stygian Brotherhood, who were actually, the fun part about that is we did this with our Kickstarter campaign that funded it, and people got to send in what their character name would be in the Stygian Brotherhood and what their character concept was like. And that's what we did with it. It really turned out really nicely. All right, we got here. I note even at CGL, we have page counts like 2 times longer than needed because so much focus on graphic and add-ons. I wonder if there is a way to reduce the effect to the edges more. Yeah, I could probably take and go in, because InDesign's a very powerful tool. I could go in and then lower the contrast on it. I'd probably have to tone it a little bit so it looks more like it's aged out a little bit. Not so much make the blood paler, just make it the actual old red stain not so intense, so that it's a little flatter, almost maybe like a soft black as opposed to the crimson over the faux parchment finish. And yeah, get rid of the faux parchment finish as well, so it's just a flat white page. I think that would do pretty well. I'd like to get some printed before the Lexington Toy and Comic Festival in March, but I don't know that our budget will allow for it, because we've got to get some more work done on 47 Furious Tales issue 4, Reign of Ages issue 4, Necroholic issue 4, Tibia and Her Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms issue 2. I'd like to get some initial art done for Tarot Adventure book 4. So yeah, I'm trying to catch up on some of our title series. So for those of you who may not be aware, what's happened over the last 18 months or so is we've had in 2024, we had some family members of mine who passed away, and then I ended up coming down with COVID that sidelined me for several weeks, and then I recovered and then ran smack into a bad case of bronchitis that had me down for a couple of weeks, recovered, and then caught a really, really bad case of influenza, and that had me down for 6 weeks, which was really terrible. Now, fortunately, I was able to work from home during that point because they didn't want me to bring any of that into the office. But I mean, I was literally wrapped in a blanket and just trying to get through the day as best I could to get my work done. It was a hell of a task. And then, of course, this year, unfortunately, in February, my stepfather died, And then on August 31st, my father died, and we've had some other relatives who have passed. So it's really put the kibosh on my productivity over the last 18 months. But trying to get back into it, to get back up to pace, and that's going to require just like it always does. And Bishop, I'm sure you know how this is, man. You just got to get your nose to the grindstone and get the work done. Nothing replaces actually doing the work. There's just nothing else like it. Um, where did I leave off of? Oh man. Oh, the Kickstarter strike. That's what I was going. So Kickstarter is on strike. And like I was saying, we were going to be doing our Kickstarter campaign actually this week. I'm going to postpone that launch. I want to spend some more time, finish the formatting, get the proof copies ordered so that we can get those in. Because we've got all of the art for the book. I'm just formatting in the Q&A interview stuff. So that's not really that big of a deal. We can really do that in a few hours if I can find a few hours. And then get those proof copies in. The big thing is that the art team, except for Alexia, who's in Europe right now, everyone else who's got art on that would be getting a copy of the proof run for it, and then we'll go ahead and use that in some of our late stage promotions for that. And the goal is to get this magazine into production, get it into our backers' hands, and then once we're fully fulfilled, any leftover, of course, we'll take to conventions and such, but we're also going to be using that to pitch to different distributor outlets for magazines across a wide selection of retailers, places from everything like drugstores and gas stations, grocery stores, Walmarts, things like that. We want to be as many places as we can be. And being able to get that kind of product out into the world, I think will be a nice first step. And then use whatever revenue we can to pay for the art for the next one, and keep the Art by Humans magazine really something that celebrates the human artist and brings to the public something that they're seeing less and less of lately. Because I mean, I don't know about what your feed looks like, folks, but I'm seeing more and more AI generated imagery cropping up all over the place. There was a friend of mine, his name's Larry. He had put out a video on his YouTube channel, which Niobe Comics. Check that out, folks. A lot of fun there. And showing some really bizarre examples of AI generated images knocking off other people's work. So apparently, one of the things going on that you're seeing the last few months, I've seen this a couple of times, but not as much as Larry has pointed out to me since. People will take particular images, feed them into AI, and then have AI generate the image with, in a slightly different art style or whatever. And you can see like the same composition, but then you'll also see some of the weird things that happen when you do something generated by a machine, like eyes that don't quite look right. You have this kind of uncanny valley kind of thing going on. Or, of course, too many fingers, too many toes, but that's happening less and less. But what we got here? Bishop says, yeah, lots of AI vomit everywhere, and even I guess big brands using them trying to crush the little guy. Yeah, and the thing is, too, is that we are seeing not just the big companies utilizing AI for things like that. We're also seeing a lot of small creators, I'm using that term loosely in this sense, who are applying AI generated art to different products. And yeah, it's going to greatly reduce their bottom line, but I think that there's just something, I don't know, something about it just doesn't sit right with me. I like working with artists. Now, I am very dependent on sales and also crowdfunding to fund each book. But I think that's the point, right? You sell the book, you do the fundraising, and you get the books made, and then you have a new product. That's just kind of how that rolls. And whether you're someone who does like $30,000 campaigns or someone like me who does, 5,000 to $9,000 campaigns, which is probably not fair. I've only had one campaign that went to 9,000, but I've actually been very fortunate. I've had some very small campaigns that I've run to fund things like press runs on art prints and stuff that I was going to take to different conventions. And we'll do another one of those pretty soon, actually. But the wild thing is when you do like a crowdfunding campaign to raise like $300 or $400 or whatever, and then you get it done, and you say, okay, well, in case things are bad, we'll set the fulfillment date for like 2 months out, and then it turns out like your fulfillment's done in 3 weeks. Because you get the order into the printer, you get like 3, 4, 500 prints done, you get them in, bag them, board them, ship them, you're done. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone's out in the mail usually in the course of a weekend. I like that rapid turnaround. So, and I'm also, it's weird that the longer I've been doing this, the more I take pride in how our fulfillment runs, because it should be pretty intuitive. You do your crowdfunding, you say, hey, thank you for supporting us. If you're helping make this, you get X, Y, or Z. And you tell people they're going to get X, Y, or Z. And then you make the thing and you send them the X, Y, or Z. It's really not that complicated. But for some reason, over the last couple of years, it seems like a lot of people are having trouble with that last part, getting the widget, the XYZ thing into people's hands. In some cases, I can understand, like, we've seen where creators have passed away. Always sad. We've seen where like the Canadian postal system went on strike and they're on strike again, and that causes a lot of delays for our Canadian creators and for getting stuff to people in Canada. We've seen stuff affected by a whole wide range of calamities that people really didn't have a whole lot of control over. Niobe, hey Larry, what's up, man? How you doing? We got it to work on 2 platforms. We got it on YouTube and on X, so it's working pretty well. And Bishop, by the way, Niobe, that's my buddy Larry. He creates Niobe, which is a fantastic comic book. A lot of fun. The main character has these really cool teleportation powers, a genome in that setting. Gorgeous cover work, really, really great art. Definitely something to see. And Larry, you'll like Bishop's work because if as much as you like, giant robots and Macross and stuff, and Bishop is, just fantastic BattleTech dude. If you ever put together a mech comic, you should definitely talk to Bishop. I think that would be good for both of you. But with the Kickstarter strike, like I said, we're going to postpone the launch of Art by Humans. We will take that time to yeah, I think it's a good comic. I enjoy it. But we will be also launching campaigns on Fund My Comic, and we will also be launching I think a secondary campaign on Indiegogo, but not until after Indiegogo finishes their updates. Absolutely do not want to have to deal with Indiegogo's current technology. I'm tired of it. And so I'd rather stick with Kickstarter and use Fund My Comic, Crowdfunder, and such. But when we go to our next TTRPG book, I think I will probably go ahead and also add GameFound to that. I've never launched on GameFound. I've certainly backed campaigns on GameFound, Talislanta being probably the most spectacular one. Fun fact about this, right? So, single dad dude, day job, and then I create comics and role-playing games through my company. So not swimming in cash, right? Especially because the business cash stays in the business. Well, except when I had COVID, that's a different thing. But the thing about it is that I actually, when I found out that the Talislanta campaign was going to be on GameFound, I spent 6 months saving cash to be able to pledge what I wanted for that campaign. And I gotta tell you, man, now I have some criticisms about some of the things and how the books were finished. But overall, I'm very well satisfied with the production. But with Kickstarter being on strike, folks, if you want to support the strike and you are in a position where you need to launch and don't really want to wait to see when the strike's going to resolve, then I would probably recommend, especially if you're doing comic books, I would recommend Fund My Comic. If you are doing a role playing game book, I would recommend GameFound, BackerKit, or Crowdfunder. Now, Crowdfunder, those guys don't seem to really care if you've got another campaign running simultaneously or not, so long as you're, taking good care of your backers. But if you're doing an RPG book, I think I would really, really do GameFound. BackerKit's certainly a very viable option, but just remember with either one of those, you're not going to be able to simultaneously run somewhere else. If they find out about it, they're going to have a conversation with you. So keep that in mind and stay frosty with it. Don't let things get too out of sorts with you. But if you don't care about supporting the striking Kickstarter workers, then by all means, just be aware that there might not be anyone there to handle support questions or issues that come up. So definitely take that with a grain of salt. And man, we really ate up the time tonight, didn't we? We only got 20 minutes left. So I'm going to tell you guys a little something that's been going on. Can't wait for Monster Truckers to ship. I didn't see that one. Table Cat seems to like BackerKit, but I don't really know much about the details. So BackerKit, I was going to simultaneously launch on BackerKit with Kickstarter and Fund My Comic. BackerKit's people told me very plainly that that was not an option, that we couldn't launch on BackerKit if we were launching on other platforms. And Kickstarter is my primary platform. That's where the Sinopa publishing audience primarily lies. So I can't forego Kickstarter and Fund My Comic to do something exclusive to BackerKit. I think that if I do something on BackerKit, it's going to have to be something that's very, very specific, like maybe a box set or something like that. But a lot of people do like BackerKit. I have not had a lot of experience with it as a pledge platform. I've obviously pledged a lot of campaigns on Kickstarter that have used BackerKit for collecting shipping information and collecting shipping fees and such. I think that with the current build and the upcoming changes to Kickstarter, I don't think that BackerKit's going to be much needed from Kickstarter backers anymore, but we'll see. Bishop says, I think you'll dig Monster Truckers. It's fast, fun, rules light. Love rules light. Paramount Monsters meets Judge Dredd, the duel, Tank Girl, and Mad Max. So I'm a huge fan of Judge Dredd, Tank Girl in particular, and Mad Max. I don't think I'm familiar with the duel, but that sounds badass. You got to do the beta? Cool deal. I actually got to do a lot of TTRPG playtesting back in the late 90s and the early 2000s. So I got to playtest like the TriStat system. So I play tested things like Big Eye, Small Mouth, Dragon Ball. What is the other one? Big Eye, Small Mouth. Man, what was it? The other big one. I forgot. There was one that was had nuns and machine guns, and a few other really cool ones. So I got to do a lot of that. And that was a lot of fun. The Duel is an old Spielberg movie. Truck chasing a salesman through California desert. That sounds kind of cool. I've not read that Spielberg, so that particular Spielberg book. Wow, I'll get the words out. One of the things that I was going to share today, I saved this for last. Part because it's personal, and part because it takes a little bit. So stick with me on this one, guys, because this was a little bit of a trip. I think it was Monday. Yeah, I think it was Monday. I had this really wild dream about this woman I've never met. So some type of dream construct that hit me, right? And I made some notes about it because I think I'm gonna do a romance rom-com manga about it once I am caught up with the current title lines. But the weird thing is that I think that this idea has kind of caught my imagination a little bit because every night I keep seeing this same woman in my dreams, and I don't know anyone like this, right? So it's one of those things where I wake up and I jot down some more notes, and I wake up and I jot down some more notes. So it's kind of building this little weird impromptu character Bible, right? So on on one hand, it's kind of like a creative cheat code, right? Because it's not like I'm sitting down and just generating and brainstorming and doing it. I'm trying to sleep and I'm having these weird like dream quest kind of conversations with this person in this dream, and get to have these just bizarre kind of things that would fit really well into a manga. So the more I think about it, I go and look and I start looking around to see if there's anything like it. And there's a few things that are kind of close to it, but nothing I've ever read. So I kind of marked that out. And then I kind of started looking around in my life and see if there's anything that might have been inspiring these weird recurring dreams. And no, not at all. And then this Friday night, after I got off of a stream of Larry, I started feeling really poorly. I was sick all day Saturday. I've been sick all day today. I'm kind of fighting it today. It's why my face is all flush. But every night I keep having this weird kind of, I don't want to make it sound like some mystical stuff. It's just like this really vivid, really vivid conversation with this dream girl, right, in my mind. Nothing weird, nothing hinky or anything like that. Just conversations about stuff as an adult. So maybe my mind is really burning through the midnight oil, but it's making for a really cool kind of character concept. And that's one of the things that I always like. If a particular character hits me in just a way that I want to explore those conversations, I think that's a really great way to do it. Oh man, excuse me. Let's see what we got here real quick. Bear with me just a moment. So we had, cool, we got 6 viewers on Twitter/X. Hi guys. So for those of you who are joined us a little late, we are about 15 minutes out from the end of tonight's stream. You're going to find a link to the coffee page for our buddy Bishop Steiner, who is recovering from. Well, I tell you what, just look at the coffee page, guys, and you'll see what he's recovering from. So anything, if you can contribute, that's fantastic. Please do share that link around. Let's help a really great dude to get through a really rough time. All right. I think that's, really important that in times of hardship, if we, add a lot of hands, then it makes light work of anything. So let's help a brother out. Okay. But back to the weird dreaming stuff, man. It's, been one of those things that hasn't really like formed like any type of obsessive compulsive thing in my mind or anything, but I go to sleep. I have these last few days have these really vivid dreams and conversations in the dreams, and then I make notes, and it's not something I usually do. I don't normally make notes about dream time escapades or anything like that unless it's something I find really interesting. And so you're in these dreams where you're having a conversation with yourself, where your mind is basically working overtime, because your dream time is basically the time where your brain is clearing the cache, right? it's it's basically taking the fragments of memory it's not necessarily going to store in long-term memory and flushing it, right? But to have something that, I don't know, is really kind of inspiring is really nice. And I'm looking forward to playing in that sandbox. All right, and then I guess we've got time for Three Eye Atlas. So, Three Eye Atlas, man, interstellar comet that's flying past Mars, or has just flown past Mars, and is heading towards basically heading towards the sun, where it's going to come back, not into the sun, but orbit back around the sun. It will pass Venus on its way back. The particle cloud from the stuff that's been, evaporating, and, well, the sublimating, rather, I guess I should say, off of the comet, some of that will actually um, probably hit and fall into Venus. So it shouldn't have any impact. We're talking, like, stuff measured in fractions of a gram. But and then we'll fly back out, and on its way back out, it'll pass pretty close by Mars again. Now, the thing that we're seeing a lot of is a lot of folks are sensationalizing this event. Now, I am not an astronomer. I'm a fan of astronomy. I would love to make it a hobby if I could afford it. But I find that some of the information that has been collected is certainly interesting. And one of the things that you're going to see that people will sensationalize is they'll say, well, it might be alien technology. It might be artificially constructed. I mean, that could be said for really anything that we haven't, fully examined yet. I don't think that there's sufficient evidence that suggests that's artificial. There are certainly some strange coincidences, and there's certainly some strange chemical compositions. But a lot of the material I've read from different papers and different articles from people who are talking about this all pretty much say that, hey, yeah, the chemistry is not what we expect. But this is only, I think, the third interstellar object that we've detected and had a chance to do any type of analysis on. That's really not a great sample size. And so the way our science works is we typically look for things that we can study, measure, and then look at, how things interact, patterns and things of that nature. And three is just not a very significant sample size. The three objects that we've seen are all wildly different. There are things about this comet that are not particularly unusual. And there are some things that are a little strange. There's a lot of nickel, like really, really a lot of nickel in this astronomical body. That does not mean that it's a, a hull of a spaceship. It doesn't mean that. Now, could it possibly be the hull of a spaceship or some other artificial fragment? I suppose that's possible. But I think that what we're seeing in all the sensationalism of it is really people who are taking the opportunity to excite the public and really play on the unknown, both the fear of the unknown and the interest in the unknown, that explorer's instinct that humans tend to have. Whether you like to go diving and scuba and snorkel and study around on reefs or whatnot, or if you like to go mountain climbing or cave diving, or if you're someone who is peering up at the stars, the human spirit for exploration is, I think, a beautiful thing. So let's not let ourselves be too led astray. Let's embrace our curiosity and see what this is. And if it is, in fact, come to pass, if it does in fact come to pass that this was or is some type of artificial construct, whether it's a probe or a ship or something like that, And I will be very happy to be wrong, because that would be absolutely incredible for uh, all of humanity to discover something like that. But even if it is just a comet with a particularly weird chemistry, that too should be celebrated as a magnificent discovery, because it tells us that there is so much more to the universe than what we expect. And the more we learn about what our universe is like, the more questions arise. And I think that is good for us, both in the long term for humanity as we continue to seek to understand our place in the universe and the universe all around us. And it also helps to keep us from becoming too embedded in our own hubris. Bishop says, hey, don't encourage people to go diving. I go into the ocean to get away from all you loonies. I can respect that, Bishop. I can. So, guys, if you want to take up diving, don't go in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's just leave that to Bishop. I think that's enough room, Bishop. Can you take the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll put everyone else, off the east and west coasts, and you can go exploring and see the sights and do some fantastic spearfishing while you're there. But if you are down around the Gulf of Mexico and you happen to run into Bishop, give the man a high five, wish him the best, and then, leave him alone while he's underwater, because messing with people while they're underwater is just a bad plan. We don't do that. All right. Now, as always, folks, if you have any questions, any comments, any criticisms or concerns, please feel free to go ahead and post them. We're doing streams every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, I didn't realize you were on the Pacific Coast. I thought you were on the Gulf of Mexico. All right, so if you are... Well, Bishop says, hey, if you're a tourist, go to the Gulf of Mexico then. There you go. There you go. Bishop, you might want to stay out of the water until you feel better, though, bro. Oh, you're using a spear gun? You're not using an actual spear, you're just using a spear gun? Okay. That's cool. I've never gone spear gun hunting. Social distancing with a spear gun. Yeah. My social distancing stuff is a little different, but it still has the word gun in it. So I guess we're on the same page in that sense. But yeah, everyone, if you have any comments, any questions, any criticisms or concerns, please do feel free to go ahead and post them there. I want to give a big shout out to Jacob, who won our giveaway last month, and he should have, if it didn't arrive Friday or Saturday, it should be arriving Monday, his art print. So very, very excited to do that. Next week, we're going to have another hour of fun conversation. I look forward to everyone showing up. I hope you will. For those of you who are watching this after we're live, I hope that you'll join us as well. If you do have any questions after the fact, feel free to post them to the YouTube channel or to the Twitter/X. And we'll be more than happy to get to it. Bishop says, yeah, other guns are a bit more an issue here. Well, Bishop, I'm in Kentucky. So guns are really not a problem here. I guess is a good way to put it. My neighbors have tons. Bear with me because I'm still cleaning up stuff from but we have plenty of legal firearms all over the place. And guys, don't forget to check out Bishop's coffee page. Let's help a brother out. And until next time, everyone, please make sure that you're staying hydrated. Take the medications that you need. Mind your health, mind your well-being. And please remember, in a world where you can choose to be anything, please choose to be kind. Thank you all.